Okay, let's see how this goes. So I'm using an older laptop right now to just play around with OS 26, I think, the Tahoe, the newest version on the old MacBook Air M1, because I just want to catch up on um what Apple has to offer in terms of operating systems environment. So it feels like the recording is keeping up. So I will just cross my fingers and hope that everything is good here, especially the sound, since the sound is always a problem. Anyway, it's been a while since I last recorded a video, and last where we left off was we we were able to do some basic file management in our IDE server here. Just turn off the mini map. Um, okay, get more space back. Yeah. So we were able to just like create projects and uh, create files associated with them and all that other stuff, right? So yeah. Um, so let's continue on. I think what we need is we need to be able to create or compile files that we create in our project, right? So right now, if we look at for a compile endpoint, we actually don't have that. So maybe that's like the next thing that we should probably do, and then we could probably get on with uh, coding our IDE client. So the front end of things that make it look like Visual Studio Code. So yeah, let's just resume. Again, we're still using Qwen3 coder, 30B. So still a small model. I'm still using it through my server, using two RTX 6000 ADAs, and running it in full context here. So it should be pretty fast. Okay. Okay, so first things first, since this is a new computer and that doesn't have context, let's get our model like up to speed in terms of what the heck we are doing. So I'm just going to type bunch of stuff here to just kind of get it up to speed. So um, hello, I am coding a web-based CIDE. I have IDE server, okay, which is the backend, and IDE client, which is the front end of the application. Now, I have not started on IDE client yet. Um, yet. I envision it being like a VS Code lighter weight. IDE server has basic file manipulations working, but now we need to build out code comp compilation. So we will need an endpoint for that. Okay, so let's see. Last time where we left off, I think we we basically created our files and folders using just normal FS. Um, so here, using the FS module. But I think there's like security concerns with compilation that we will need something to protect ourselves from like running code and compiling code So we're going to have to invoke like GCC, for example, and that has a lot of security concerns if you're doing it remotely. And normally we would probably spin up some container, like some Docker container, to run that code within to compile and test programs. But I think there is an alternative. I think I mentioned it before in another video, but never got to installing it. So let's actually ask Qwen here, or Cline, what type of package would we actually need in order to safely run our C programs that we create using this server. So before we begin coding, I would like to know what is the easiest thing we can use to be able to safely execute um, our compiler and test our program in a sandbox environment. Okay, so we call that a sandbox environment. Basically, a safe environment that won't affect our system when we execute arbitrary code. Okay, so I know options are things like containers, such as Docker, but I am looking for something pretty simple. If I recall correctly, there is a program that can execute things in sandbox environments. It just slips my mind. Yeah, so it's like a tip of my tongue things. Let's see what it comes up with. Actually, I'm not even sure if this would work because I'm on a Mac. So I know there is a thing for Linux. So let's see. Okay. Uh, so I'm going to just prop this view down here just to get some space. But I think I could always bring it back up, right? Yep. Okay. So yeah. Um, so we have a full 256K context here for us to mess with. And I think this will last us for quite a bit, at least for this video here. So right now, what is it doing? So it looks like it's prompt processing. Again, in the beginning with new chats, it does take a while because Cline has probably a very big prompt, and in addition to our own prompt, so it's processing all of that stuff. And in the beginning, it's going to be pretty slow because the caches aren't warmed up yet. So that's quite normal. So it should start outputting soon because I think I just minimized it when it's like at 99%. Here we go. So it's really fast once it gets going. Okay, so I should probably try to increase the font size of this thing. Can I? Oh, wow, 86K already. Let's see here. General features. I don't want error usage reporting. So done. Let me see if I can just zoom in here. Maybe this will be good. Yeah, let's just do it like this. Okay. So, and then that will allow me to actually reduce the font size a little, I think. Okay, let's take it to 18. Okay, cool. So what is it saying here? I need to analyze the user's requests and understand what they're asking for. Let me break this down. The user has an IDE server, okay, backend, and IDE client, front end for web-based CIDE. That's correct. The server has basic file manipulations working, but they need to add code compilation functionality. They want to add an endpoint for compilation. They're asking about what's the easiest thing to use for safely executing compilers and testing programs in a sandboxed environment. They mentioned that they know about containers, but want something simpler. They mentioned a program that can execute things in sandbox environments, but they can't remember what it is. Okay, so first, let me explore the server. Let me first explore the server code to understand the current structure and how to add the compilation endpoint. I also need to look at what sandboxing options are available and what would be the simplest approach for a C compiler. Looking at the server code, I can see it's a Node.js Express server. For C compilation, they'll likely need to create a compilation endpoint. That's true. So an endpoint somewhere here, like a post request. So maybe like app.post API compile, la da 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 da. Okay. Execute the C compiler in a sandbox environment, and then handle compilation and execution safely. Okay. So keep going. So the user mentioned a program that executes things in sandbox environments. This might be referring to something like chroot, systemd nspawn, firejail. This is actually the one I want, firejail. So if we don't know what firejail is, let's go to firejail. And firejail is a secure, this is the AI answer. Let's see, let's look at this one. Here we go. Yeah, so firejail, let's look at the official site. firejail is a SUID program that reduces the risk of security breaches by restricting the running environment of untrusted applications using Linux namespaces and ccomp BPF. It allows a process and all its descendants to have their own private view of the globally shared kernel resources such as the network stack, process table, and mount table. So that's exactly what I'm looking for. Written in C with virtually no dependencies, the software runs on any Linux computer with a 3.x kernel version or newer. The sandbox is lightweight and the overhead is low. There is no complicated configuration files to edit, no socket connections open, and no daemons running in the background. Okay, so it's in all Linux computers. Let me see. Can we look up firejail for Mac OS? So different layer of protection, and I don't really want to learn the Mac alternative right now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to probably get this project on running through SSH on my server, my Linux server. So BRB. Okay, so I have now cloned the project to my Linux server and I forwarded the ports 5000 to this laptop here, and I reran the prompt again, and this time it gave me slightly different answer. But since now I know what I'm looking for, I'm just going to say I think I was thinking about firejail. I am developing through remote SSH on a Mac, but to Ubuntu. So let's see what happens. Okay, great. All right, so Qwen here says, great. firejail is indeed an excellent choice for your use case. Since you're developing on Mac OS, but deploying to Ubuntu, firejail provides a good middle ground for sandboxing. Let me refine my approach based on your firejail preference. Firejail solution for C compilation. So firejail is perfect for your needs because it's lightweight compared to Docker. It provides strong security isolation. It's well suited for Linux environments, which matches your Ubuntu deployment, and it's relatively simple to implement. So the recommended implementation plan. So we want to create a firejail profile for C compilation that restricts network access, limits file system access to only necessary directories. So in this case, I think what we're going to be thinking about is limiting file system access to the project directory. And then we set resource limits. Okay, so maybe just like one thread, right? One thread and maybe like 1 gig of RAM. Wait, maybe that's too much. Maybe like maybe like 100 megs of RAM. Yeah, anyway, prevents access to sensitive system areas. And then what we will need to do is we'll just need to have an endpoint to trigger the compilation on a project, and then create the temporary files, execute compilation using a filejail wrapper. So, well, what it would look like, I think, is something like this in terms of usage: firejail gcc xyz.c. So it would end up looking like this. Basically, your normal command, but prefixed with the firejail program sandbox environment thing. All right. So far so good. Went back here, capture and return compilation results. Yeah, so whenever we execute GCC, if there's like an error, we want to be able to capture that and then send it back to the client. Because that's how like the IDE's terminal would probably need to have that. Then we need to clean up temporary files afterwards. Okay, so yes. So now, so here's how we would do this. So accept C source code and protect project context. So create temporary files in secure directory. Then we do firejail profile, compile profile. So compile profile is probably some sort of like configuration. So then we'll just execute GCC as normally. Okay. So the output file, so the output program, and then the source file. We'll return compilation results, success, failure, SDR, and then handle cleanup. So, okay. So what is this firejail profile configuration? Let's ask. Okay. So what is this firejail profile configuration? I'd like to know. So, I'm guessing it's just like the resource limits and things. How do I get rid of that? How do I collapse this? Okay, there we go. Okay. Oh, that's a lot of stuff. Let's see. So, let me explain what a firejail profile configuration is. Firejail profile configuration. A firejail profile is a text file that defines specific security policies and restrictions for a sandbox application. Think of it as a recipe that tells firejail exactly how to isolate a process. Okay, so a profile contains the restrictions, okay, for network. Okay, maybe can't access network. Yeah, let's make sure you can't. File system restrictions, what directories the process can read and write to. Resource limits. Oops. I don't know why this is here anyway. It's probably a Mac thing. Resource limits, CPU time, memory usage, disk space, and capability restrictions. What system calls the process can make. So that's like for this one's like what kind of system calls to the kernel, right? So I think we should only allow like basic file manipulation things for now. And then no environment variables. Okay. So for C compilation, typical profile might look like this. Etsy firejail compile profile, no profile, net filter 6. Here's all the restrictions that so they're allowed to use these types of file systems directory, which makes sense. I think they need to get some dependencies, right? Like with lib and lib64, USR too. Okay, so read-only directories, so you can only read, not write to these directories. And then memory, 256, and then time limit, 30, I guess 30 minutes of CPU time. And then, yeah, no network access. But what about these network restrictions? Oh, okay. Cool. No access to sensitive areas, home and temp. Okay. So this profile would allow compilation to access necessary system directories, restrict network access, so basically prevents malicious code from contacting external servers, and then limit memory to 256 megabytes and execution time to 30 seconds, create a private temporary space, prevent access to system sensitive system areas. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's actually create a complete firejail jail profile for C compilation. I would actually like to reduce the memory usage to maybe about 128 meg. And also, um, I think directories which can be accessed for write should just be the project directory itself. Okay, so we only want the user to be able to compile their C program and create files within that project directory. So yeah, so let's see here. So based on your requirements, here's a complete firejail profile for C compilation with reduced memory usage and restricted file access. So it's the same thing, except that this one's now 128. Okay, and 30 seconds. Oh, 30 seconds timeout. Interesting. Okay, I should have read that earlier, but yeah, the program can only run for 30 seconds. I guess consuming the thread. Okay, so not much else. Okay, but security enhancements. What is this? Caps drop. This is network stuff, I guess. Okay, so where would I even create this? Um, it's just reiterating what we need to do. So, where do we store this? Let's see. I guess let's confirm that it's actually here. Okay, so where would we save this profile to? And I'm guessing we're going to need the terminal. Great question. All right. So, firejail profile files should be saved in the standard firejail configuration directory. Here are our typical locations. Okay, so this is the most common location. So, or you could just do it here and use sarlib or user specific profiles if you want it per user. For your Ubuntu system, I recommend placing it in etc firejail. That's fine. Yeah. So let's do it. Let's do it here. We could always just fire up another terminal, right? So new terminal. Okay. Uh okay. So let's do this. Cdo, etc, firejail. Oh, we don't even have firejail. Do we just cdo apt install firejail? Oh yes, I think we can. Okay, cool. Okay, so then now let's try. Let's bring this bigger. So cdo vim etc firejail compile c.profile. Okay, so then we just simply what copy and paste this. Let's just do it. Okay, so right here, copy, paste, all that here. Okay, save, quit, and then okay, so we created it, and then verification. Okay, so we can just run. Okay, so clear, fire jail profile equals compile c.profile dash dash help. Inaccessible profile file. Why did we? No, we did it. Hmm? Fine. Okay, let's do this. Let's just vibe code this, I guess. How do I add it? Shift. How do we add to Cline? How do we add this to Cline? Add to Cline? Oh, there we go. I am getting this, trying to use the profile. Okay, I did that. Did I? It's Etsy, right? Etsy firejail compile c dot profile. Then use it with the full path. Oh, full path. I see. Okay. Uh, full path. Okay. So Etsy firejail. Okay, so this one says error reading line 5. Yeah, let's see what it comes up with. Okay, there's an issue with the profile syntax. firejail has a specific requirements for its profile format. Let me provide you with a corrected working firejail profile for C compilation. So what was wrong? Line 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What was wrong? Actually, it says line 5. So, yeah, what was wrong? Let's see. Maybe we should just read on. The main issue might be with the caps.keep line, which isn't valid in this context. And why did you tell me to? Okay, fine. Okay. Okay, let's test it again. Nope. Still doesn't work. Okay. I remove caps on keep and I am still getting the error. We might just be spending our whole time with this one today. So let's take a step back and simplify this approach since we're having issues with the firejail profile syntax. Let's focus on the core implementation plan and toggle act mode where we can actually implement and test this properly. We design zero profile blah, okay. No. I want to create. No, I want to get my fire jail profile working first. So that's the thing with these local models, although they've gotten better, they still want to skip over stuff. So, okay, fine. Create a simple profile file. Okay, and then put minimal content in it. Test it. So if this works, then we know firejail is functioning properly. Okay. Okay, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's get rid of stuff like the security enhancements because it's just an enhancement, right? And then write access is allowed. You would need to specify the actual project directory path. Wait, so why is this whitelisted? Whitelist / home. Okay. Okay, error line 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's no prof? What's no profile? I think that's the problem. You're absolutely right. Again, here we go. So you're absolutely right. That's likely the issue. No profile is not a valid firejail directive. Okay. So all of a sudden it gets rid of all these network restrictions. So net none is the way to do it. Okay, so maybe put that down here. And then net none like this. What else? So this is not necessary since we already got that. Okay. Wait, what else do we have? That's it, right? Okay. Error line 6. Okay, what's line 6 now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? What? Now it is saying something about memory limit. Okay. Okay, how about just that? Let's just do a minimal. Why not? Yeah, let's just get rid of all of this. Just do minimal. Okay, that worked. Okay, so we got stuff. Okay. Okay, that worked with just the net, none, and private TMP line. Yeah, but okay, let's do it again. So this one doesn't have the resource limits. Oops. Oops. I'm just gonna trust it. There we go. Again, line 9 is invalid. So is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Private home. No, I don't think it wants to skip over again. It says, since we have like a basic thing that works, let's just like take the pragmatic approach and just continue on and worry about it later. I don't think so because I think I'm gonna forget to do this. So, what should we do? You know what? Let's look up online. Firejail configuration. Oops. Firejail configuration. Is there, yeah, usage? Okay. So basic usage, security profiles. So, oh, there's 1,000 security profiles covering most common Linux application. Profile files have a friendly syntax and are stored in etc firejail directory. Okay. So building custom profiles. What do we want here? The access control layer. C code complicated times already what? It already went through several iterations. Okay, this is too much. This doesn't even make sense. Oh wow, we do have a starting template here. Okay, that's good. Okay, yeah, let's just see here. Fire general profile template. Let's just make a copy and modify it. Well, let's just see what it is first. So here is basically a bunch of stuff here that okay, so maybe we would be able to get some clues here how this syntax really is. So already if I'm scrolling down here, I see that we have these includes here. So but I want to see there's anything similar to what we have seen with the whitelist stuff like this, but then whitelist path, that's correct. Maybe these are not valid. Maybe. Line 30. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. So line 30 is right there. So maybe we don't need this. Ta-da! Okay. Well, we got somewhere. All right. Okay, I ended up fixing the profile for firejail. Okay, so now we have to have a new compilation endpoint. Okay, so yeah, let's do that. Okay, first, some ground rules. Code to my style. Basically, stick to the coding style as found in server.js. Okay. The endpoint should be at the end of the file before we have the list app.listen call. Okay. Three, leverage firejail and return output back as part of a JSON response. Okay, so let's have it confirm those ground rules. Okay, so implementation plan, it'll add a new post endpoint. Okay, and then it'll accept C source code in the request body associated with this project name, and it creates a temporary file in the project directory, executes compilation using firejail with the profile, and then returns compilation results back, handles cases properly. Yeah. However, why do you accept C source code as body? Why not the file in the project? You make an excellent point. You're absolutely right. For the proper IDE, it's going fast. Okay, so for the proper IDE experience, we should compile files that already exist in the project, not accept source code and request body. This makes much more sense for a real IDE use case. Okay. Takes a file name parameter to C file to compile. Use that existing file from the project directory and execute compilation using firejail. Okay. This approach makes more sense for a real IDE because it users create files in the IDE first, then compile with those existing files. It's more consistent. Okay, so yeah, we could possibly have multiple files, but I don't think we should care about that yet. So the endpoint would now be post API project's name, compile, and the file name. So now the implementation will validate project exists. So that's good. So given this, does this exist? Validate the file exists in project. So given this, does the file name exist? And then we'll use firejail to compile the existing line, and then we'll return results. Okay. Should we also execute the program immediately after compilation and return the std out results? Or should that be another step? Okay, so it looks like it wants to keep it separate. All right, so that's a great question that touches on the core UX design of your IDE. I think we should keep compilation and execution as separate steps for a few important reasons. So we have a separations of concerns approach. Compilation step compiles the C code, returns the compilation results. Okay, fine. That's what we're going to do right now. But there's an execution step, which is what I just brought up. That's to run the compile program in a sandboxed environment using firejail again. Returns execution results. And this will probably be like a run endpoint. Sure, fine, maybe. So error isolation if compilation fails, execution never happens. Okay. Okay, that's true. Security, compilation, execution are different security concerns. Huh, I'd like to know that later. User experience, users may want to see compilation errors first. Debugging, easier to debug compilation versus execution issues separately. And performance, compilation might be expensive, but not always execution. Sure. Okay, so first implement compilation endpoint, then add the execution endpoint. Okay. Okay. Now you should implement compile endpoint you now. Okay, here we go. I like seeing this because it does it pretty fast. Boom, boom, boom. So this is pretty much the same thing still. Okay, here we go. So it should add new code. Okay, great. So what did it add here? Let's save it. Okay. What did it add here? It added right here. So post endpoint for compiling C files. So validate projects exist, validate the file name format, and then check if the project exists in directory or at least a project path. And then verify, okay, that the resolve path is still within the project directory, security stuff, right? Verify. Okay, so now compile. Here we go. This is how we will compile the program using firejail. Okay, with project directory as whitelist, then the file name. Okay, basically without the .c, and then the file name itself. So the .c program. Okay, so then we run exec, and then we have 30 seconds to do that compilation, and we'll wait because it's asynchronous operation, and then we'll just return stood error as the result, and this will go back to stood error saved as variables here, and then return it back as payload. So if there was an error, then we'll just output it with the success as false. If it was good, success was true with the stood errors. Otherwise, HTTP 500. Cool. Okay. Can you write a basic test like how we did for others in IDE server? So I wanted to write the same type of tests as these right here. Test file creation, test get endpoint, test listing endpoint, and so on. So it's taking a while. Okay. Okay, so this is the test compile endpoint. Let's just save it and see what happens. Okay, so wow, so eager to finish this thing. It's like I guess it's like there's something in a prompt maybe that kind of forces it to behave this way. Um, anyway, let's see here. What do we have here? So successfully completed, added the new endpoint. Okay, and then test script, test compile endpoint.js. So it makes that sort of post request to compile. Okay, so we can just run it, right? Yeah, let's just run it. Test compile endpoint. So, oops. Okay. Get rid of perfect there. CD IDE server. Okay, so node test compile endpoint. Uh-oh. Let's see, what did we get here? Warning module. Okay, whatever. Reparsing, that's fine. Okay, unexpected token blah is not valid JSON. So I think what we need to do is we need to restart. I forgot. Because we modified the server. Cool. So it is a 404 project does not exist. So in this case here, we need to create a project. So let's do this. Let's create a project in what directory? So we'll call it my C project, and it'll be a hello world. So project name file. Okay, so we'll just have to create one ourselves, and I think our server specifies a specific directory. We don't have it anymore because this is a different computer. So it'll just be projects under IDE server here, and I'm thinking that's ignored. Project already exists. Oh, right here. Okay, so what's the project called? What's it expecting? My C project. Okay. New folder, my C project, and then I'll just add hello.c, include stdio.h, student main void. Then we'll just print f, hello world, new line, return 0. So let's see how that works, and let's compile it. Still, the compilation failed. Why is that? So let's see, reading profile, child PID, invalid whitelist path /USR. Okay, cannot sync with peer. Do we have a USR? We should have a USR. Yeah, we should. Okay, so let's do it again. Vim, etc, firejail, firefly. Compile? Is it compile? Compile c.profile. Okay, so why is it invalid USR? Interesting. Invalid whitelist path USR. Let's just add that to Cline. Uh-oh, what's it doing? Oh, I forgot. It's probably, yeah, what's it trying to change? CD Project Dir. Okay, is that what? Okay, whatever. Let's try it again then. No. It's the same thing. The problem is that firejail is having trouble with absolute paths in the whitelist option. Change the compilation command from this to whitelist dot. There's no whitelist here. Huh. First CD into it, then run then run firejail here. Use relative paths. Simplify security. Okay. But it still doesn't work. I am still getting that error. Do I really need to whitelist USR in the firejail profile? Okay, what's it doing now? I should probably put it on like Cline mode, but eh. And that's the reason why I think cursor and all those other IDs are still superior. I just don't think, maybe it's just because I'm using such a weaker model, but uh it's just, what did you do? Oh, it just got rid of, that's odd. Didn't do much. Let's see what it says. Simplify. So remove the whitelist dot. Okay, let's just test it. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to get rid of the USR whitelist just to see what happens. It'll just go back to that very simple implementation that it tried to do earlier. So I'm guessing all of this won't even work. So let's get rid of that. Okay, compilation request successful, but compilation fail. Interesting. STD reading profile of this. What's going on? Reading profile, child PID, child process initialized, parent is shutting down by compilation request successful, compilation fail. What does this test say? Wow. Okay. Oh, request. Okay. So request went through, but the compile failed. But the compile's here. That's odd. If I were to go to the projects and go to my C project, if I execute it, it works. Okay, so I got a compilation failed in the test, even though I see the program compiled. And it runs. What is it doing now? Should probably just put it in a plan mode, but I keep saying that, but it's so interesting to see what it thinks. Okay, so what was a bug? Was there a bug? Let's see. Okay, I guess there was error handling logic. Okay, so the key improvement I made was how we determine compilation success. Previously, we were only checking SCD error for errors, but now I've added a more robust check. So enhanced success detection, instead of checking SCD error, I now also verify that the output file was actually created. Better error handling. When firejail throws an error, we still return stood out and stood error if they exist. and more reliable status reporting. The endpoint now properly distinguishes between compilation that completed but failed, as if there had content, compilation that completed successfully and created an output file, and compilation that appeared to be complete but didn't create the output file. Okay, that's fair. So I think that check is here. Okay, so we see if it's available with FSI access, and then we do whatever we need to do here. Compilation had errors. I guess not necessarily, right? Let's see. Oops. Module not found. Oh, that's because I went up 1 or up 2. Still. Oh, I think it's because of the reading profile. This is actually from firejail. So reading profile. Yeah, that's from firejail. So let's actually give this to Cline. I think firejail is putting things into std error. It's probably gonna do like some string matching or whatever to accommodate this case by case type of thing. Let's see. I bet you that's what it's doing. Okay. Yes, it did. Okay. So, yep, it's doing all this line junk here, but okay, let's just give that a pass for now. So yeah, it's basically finding these key things here, and then it's just going to do like a string manipulation to kind of get rid of it, and then finally do the check. I'm not sure if that's smarter analysis, but I think ultimately that should just be outputted. Okay. So here, so it didn't really get it actually. Or wait a second. No, I think the reason why I haven't seen changes is because of this again. You know what? I think I did the nodemon thing before. So let's, what was it called? Oh, npm run dev. Maybe that's the reason why. Maybe it's not its fault. But I'll just leave it there. No, there we go. Okay, good enough. Well, actually, the old logic wouldn't have worked anyway because it was not considering these things here. So cool. I wonder what happens if I have a syntax error. Let's say I have this as a string. Wonder what happens. Okay, so this one should have said compilation failed. Great. Okay, so yes, it works. We can compile at least. All right. Well, gonna leave it here for now. Think it's good enough.